Hi, welcome to the Cult TV Sofa. This is a reaction video of the second episode of Season 2 of Babylon 5 called Revelations. Last time we saw a new commander of the station arrive called Captain John Sheridan, after we learnt that Commander Sinclair had been reassigned as an ambassador to the Minbari homeworld. Garibaldi is still in a coma after being shot in the back by his second-in-command at the end of last season. We learnt that Minbari souls were being transferred to humans after they died, which is why the Minbari surrendered during the war. A ship that didn't agree with the Minbari surrender and had been missing for 12 years threatened the station, but they didn't attack as they wanted the humans to begin the fighting first. When a Minbari cruiser arrived to force them to surrender and return them to the Minbari homeworld, they were forced to fire on the ship to disable its jump engine, and rather than surrendering, they overloaded their power generators and blew themselves up. Delenn was still in her cocoon, but at the end of the episode she was starting to emerge. So let's see what happens in this episode. I'm going to put any relevant trivia that I find over here, and at the end of the reaction I'll be discussing what happened and my thoughts about it. And I'm going to start it in 3, 2, 1.
This is Team 3. We're in position and ready for transfer. Team 1.
Hazardous materials storage. Okay, so they're keeping it away from Babylon 5.
One deserts his post without any explanation. The other one picks the most breathtakingly inconvenient moment possible to explore new career options.
Sure that ambassadors go on trips every now and again. Can't think that Londo has, but it's going to happen. There's someone else taking their place who has the authority to deal with things, I should think.
Where is Ambassador Jacquard?
I've told you all I know.
That's a different actress playing the toss.
We're not going to make it.
Yes, we will.
No. Leave us.
Sacrificing themselves so Shakar can get away.
Honor our names. Goodbye.
So those look like small versions, sort of fighters of the big black ships that we've seen.
Can I talk to you for a minute?
My sister's coming for a visit, and I have time before she arrives. How's Mr. Garibaldi?
Frankly, not great. That's what I want to talk to you about. Last year, I came into possession of an alien device capable of draining the life energy from one person
He is going
and
to
giving
use
it to
that.
somebody else. It was used as a kind of death penalty.
There's no other way.
It's his only hope.
We don't have much choice, do we?
See this again. A difference between him and Sinclair. A part of me doesn't think Sinclair would agree to it, to him using the machine, because it's, you know, not being tested. Is it safe? The dangers, the risk. I think he'd be more cautious, even though he's close. I was going to say was close, but he still is close. He's not dead. He's close to Garibaldi. I don't think he would allow it. Whereas Sheridan, he said, so there's no other options. In that case, that's, you know, he's very logical and, I said last time, strategic. Go through all the options. This is what's next. This is what's remaining. Let's do it. It's just a different mindset, and that's very clever to show the difference between the two of them, the differences between their command style. Let me know what you think. Do you think Sheridan would have given permission to use that healing machine on Garibaldi? Would he allow it in general, and do you think the fact that it's Garibaldi who needs it would make a difference as well? So interested to know what other people think about it.
Are you going to hook up to the machine?
Well, I can't ask anyone else to take the risk if something goes wrong.
You would.
I'll do it.
You need some other people there though to make sure everything's okay. Oh, that's really weird. Seeing it upside down and going, as far as they're concerned, it'll be going down on a on its landing pad into the station, because of the way it rotates. The closer into the outside of the hull they go, the more gravity will be normal. So it's really disconcerting seeing the ships go down like that. They can do it from any of those 4 pads around the station. That's clever, though.
You look like you've gained a little weight since the last time I saw you.
Oh, nice to see you too. He's got no weight on him. He's skinny.
The destruction of the Narn base in Quadrant 37 is drawing quite a lot of attention.
I should think it would.
The Narns will never be able to prove that it was done at your instigation.
Yeah, how could they?
Why don't you eliminate the entire Narn homeworld while you're at it?
One thing at a time, Ambassador.
That's a scary line.
If you should hear about anything strange happening out on the rim, I'd appreciate being informed.
When he said one thing at a time, Londo's face just dropped. As he's doing now, I think he's realising how dangerous Mr. Morden and his friends actually are, and that they could do that. They could destroy the Narn homeworld, but not yet. But that was such a powerful line and well delivered. And a scary line as well. One thing at a time.
It's more like being a military governor of a small, self-contained country, with its own rules, 1,000 different languages.
Very different to a ship.
We haven't seen each other in 2 years, and from the moment I got here, you haven't stopped talking about work.
Well, he's telling you about the station he's in command of.
Nothing has ever really been the same between us, not since Anna passed away. It's been 2 years. She was my friend for a lot longer than you were married to her, and I miss her too.
Right, so yeah, his wife's died. It's quite a big thing to be discussing straight away when she just arrived. Oh, I thought she was literally completely emerging, but obviously it's just a little bit.
Soon now. Soon.
That was a bit of a creepy way of saying it.
This is the device, huh?
Correct. I was just about to...
Plug me in. And have you giving your life energy and operating this machine at the same time.
Surely you'd be able to get a couple of volunteers, close friends of Garibaldi. I'm sure some of his security team, maybe not the one who shot him in the back, but others would, they'd all line up to give a little bit. Rather than 2 of them giving a chunk, it's better to spread it around. But Sheridan's right. It does make sense. It certainly should be more of them there in case something goes wrong. I'd say more medical people should be there. But yeah, shouldn't do it on his own. And is this showing the kind of person that Sheridan is? The fact that he's someone under his command, and he'll step up to do that, to give his life force to help. In general, or is it the fact that he's just had that conversation with his sister about his wife dying, has brought things up, and it's made him, I don't want to say reckless, but made him make a decision that he wouldn't normally have made, i.e. to give some of his life force to try and help Garibaldi recover. Maybe a bit of both. Might just be the timing. But again, it gives an insight into him as a person, that he steps up to help his the crew under him.
Close the door.
Close.
Ah, that door slid across. I thought they kind of came down and sort of swung across. I'll have to watch some previous episodes to have a look at that. I thought that's a different way of working.
Weep for the future, Natoth. Weep for us all.
Hello?
Where no living thing has walked in over 1,000 years, something is moving. We must warn the others, Natoth. After 1,000 years, the darkness has come again.
What evidence do you have, though? Words for something like that aren't enough.
I... What's up, Doc?
That's a good line from him, because we know that he likes the Looney Tunes cartoons. That's so. What's up, Doc? Is what Bugs Bunny. Obviously, that was his catchphrase. So that's quite cool.
I think you and the captain need to get down to Med Lab. Garibaldi's awake.
On our way.
Is that? Yeah. Oh, he's going to be very nervous now.
Do you remember who shot you?
I keep trying. I don't remember. I shot from behind.
He's about to put his gun then, but what's he going to do? I mean, assume if Garibaldi said it was him who did it, I assume he pulled his gun because he'd have to shoot everyone and run off, try and escape. Is he going to be able to escape the station? All he's really going to be doing is adding extra charges, killing or shooting multiple commanding officers, all his commanding officers. It's going to make things worse. So he's pretty much stuffed, really. He's just got to hope that Garibaldi doesn't remember, because he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't do anything, really. Well, actually, no. He's not damned if he doesn't. If Garibaldi doesn't remember, then he's in the clear. But, yeah. She's hatched.
Help me.
It looks like she's got some sort of scales or something on her hand.
Yes.
Dr. Franklin, could you please come to Ambassador Delen's quarters at once?
So that's something that's crossed my mind. They obviously all have badges, for want of a better word, communicators on their hands, but they're only for communication between the command staff. So Lanier can't call on that. He had to do a communication via the screen to the Med Lab. I find that interesting. It's just little details like that that add to the consistency and whole sort of part of the story and the sort of the universe of Babylon 5. It builds up that picture of how everything works. So that's quite cool.
Before we can allow you to proceed, I must insist that anything you learn here in the next few minutes be kept strictly confidential.
It would anyway, as a medical professional.
She died on a deep space exploration vessel that exploded. You had nothing to do with that.
No, but I'm responsible for her being on that ship in the first place. We were going to get together on our anniversary. I had to call her and tell her I couldn't make it. Well, right after I canceled, she took that science officer's job on the Icarus.
That's not your fault. Who's to say if she hadn't stayed and they'd met up, some accident would have happened that killed them both? You can't second guess those kind of things. Happens.
When we used to talk to each other over long distance, we would say, I love you. The last time I talked to her, I didn't say it.
That's quite well written, because I think it is those kind of little details that you kind of hang on to and think about when something tragic like that happens. So that's quite realistic. But yeah, he does need a bit of counselling, I think. He needs to be talking to someone. I know he's talking to his sister now, but it's like 2 years later. I think he needs some sort of professional help. We haven't seen a counsellor on the station, have we? It's bound to be one. A station that size. But yeah. Oh, the alarm comes off.
which leads me to believe that the ancient race described in our holy books may have returned.
You say the dead worlds previously controlled by this force are inhabited.
You need evidence.
Maybe they've been colonized by someone else. We need proof.
Yeah.
I have convinced them to send a ship to the heart of the enemy's old domain, located at the rim of known space.
Mr. Morden asked Londo to listen out for any information about the rim and pass on information. So I assume he's going to pass on the information about this.
They will scan the planet for signs of life and return to hyperspace before anyone can attack.
Can you imagine someone just telling you that? You wouldn't believe it. And to be honest, even with that scan, I'm not quite sure what that's going to say, only that someone's there. As Sheridan. It's going to take a bit of time to get that one switched in my head. Sheridan said maybe someone else has moved onto the planet. It's not going to be enough, that scan. It's extra. It adds to it, but it's not enough.
The Nans have sent a military ship to investigate the world called Zahatum.
Do you by any chance know when it's scheduled to arrive?
In a little under 10 hours.
So it's interesting that Londo did pass on the information. He does feel indebted to Mr. Morden, and it's kind of showing now that Morden's done a favour for him. Londo's now doing favours for him. He's very involved in it all now. Obviously he was before, but he's now completely complicit and helping them. So it's interesting. What would have happened if he hadn't passed on that information? That would have been a very different mindset for him. He would have not been involved. He would have been not helping them. So yeah, it's interesting.
Even if I do go into your mind, even if I do find anything, it's not admissible in court.
Just knowing. So she's going to try and go into his memory of the shooting, see if he can find out what happened. Greatest time to do it though. He's just come out of the coma. He's going to need a bit of time to recover before doing this. She just said it's a deep scan. It can be painful. It could be harmful to him. The shot was from behind him. Reflection. That was lucky. Exactly got his face. There he saw it as well.
Go ahead, go for it. Make my friggin' solar year.
Busted.
Put him in lockup under maximum security. I want checks every quarter hour.
It's going to be hard to put men... I use the term men as in, obviously men and women, but just people, officers, in charge of looking after him when he's the one who shot their boss, who obviously you can see the how their feelings are up about it. But you've got no other choice. They are in charge of security. You've got to trust that they're going to do the right thing and not attack him when he's in custody.
There's a new order coming back home, Garibaldi. You can either be part of it or you can be stepped on.
Shooting a senior officer is an act of treason and mutiny. The penalty is spacing.
Yeah.
You spend the next 5 minutes chewing vacuum until your lungs turn inside out, your eyeballs freeze, and your heart explodes. 5
minutes? It's a little bit quicker than that. Remember rightly, that charge is one of the only ones that the punishment is spacing death. The Ombudsman said it in a previous episode for that serial killer. With the machine, the quality of life episode. Yeah, he says it takes 5 minutes for you to kind of die. It's so cold in space. I would have thought it would take seconds until your body kind of frozen up. But yeah, your mind might still be working for a bit longer, but not minutes. 15, 20 seconds, I'd have thought. It wouldn't be as quick as I would have thought as in you see in the films where they literally 2 seconds they're frozen and that's it, they're dead. I should think it probably a bit longer than that, but not 5 minutes.
Be seeing you.
So that implies Psychor, because that's what Bester did. That was his goodbye.
It's the president. He's on Gold Channel 1. Wants to speak to you. Unless you'd like me to have him call back later.
Captain Sheridan, I've just read the report on your recent arrest.
He's involved.
The first shuttle out, Captain, and I want all transcripts, vid, and background material sent with him.
Yes, sir, of course, sir.
And this again shows the difference in command, because I don't think Sinclair would have caved in so easily and sent, even though the president asked, he'd have found some way to look into it more. Whereas Sheridan is so new on the station, and he follows orders, that he will just do it because he's not as involved in it as Sinclair. I wish their names were more different, Sinclair and Sheridan. So yeah, he wants all the information because he's involved in it, or he's involved in certainly the assassination of the previous president. We know that because he got off the ship just before it blew up. So yeah, he wants all the evidence shipped off. I would be surprised if he makes it to Earth. There might be a shuttle explosion on the way back. We'll see. But yeah, interesting. Okay, you can see he's doubting it. He's got concerns about it, but he'll still do it. This is the Narn ship visiting Zahadum, and it's a Narn cruiser, biggest ships I think the Narn have. So he's waiting for them. Whoa, two shots completely took out the entire cruiser.
I'm afraid to say that the ship dispatched to investigate Zahadum has been destroyed.
Thing is, they went there to scan for life signs and the planet, and the fact that it was destroyed as soon as it got there, that's going to speak volumes in itself as well, though. So it's not. I mean, I suppose if they'd done the scans and left, they would have more knowledge and more information, whereas they don't have information now. They just know something bad is there. They don't know what, or more detailed knowledge about it. So there's that, but it's still got Jakar's point across, really.
Unless they knew the ship was coming and were waiting for it, but no one knew except.
What exactly are you implying, Ambassador?
I think you all know.
I'm too late. Everything is too late.
But even he thinks he knows them well enough that they wouldn't do that. Very different to a normal Minbari.
I have undergone this change with the blessings of my government.
Well, not quite.
In the hope that we will never know war between us again.
She's become a Minbari/human, basically. I don't know how that could happen. I mean, it would involve her changing her DNA, basically. I'm assuming that's what the cocoon did. And that triluminary the device, it rewrote her DNA and changed her into a combination of the two. She obviously looks a lot more human. She still has that Minbari band around her head. I think it's bone. I'm not completely certain, but I think it's like a bone ridge around their heads. So yeah, she did it with the backing of a government. It wasn't completely. I mean, she forced their hands a bit into it.
I've been debating over whether or not to show it to you. Not sure if it would open up old wounds, but it's part of a message Anna sent to me about a week before she passed away.
Reopening old wounds? I think the wounds are gaping on him. Don't think you can open the wounds anymore than they already are. Ah, see, their door swings down. So the Narns slid across. So they work differently.
I had already decided to put off our vacation and go when John called to tell me that he had to cancel, so it worked out just great.
She was already going. Well, so they're going to relieve some of the guilt, at least, from him.
Thank you again for helping out.
Still not admissible in court.
That's actually a really good point, yeah. It's not admissible. The only reason they arrested him was because of that vision, what they saw. I mean, again, I don't know how this would work legally, but the fact that she sort of jarred his memory a bit. He did seem to then remember seeing that reflection, but a good lawyer could say, well, that's only because the telepath was in your mind and maybe they did something that made you think that. It's not like he remembered it beforehand, he only remembered it after the scan. So did they have the evidence really to have arrested him in the first place? Well, we're going to see what happens anyway, but a bit dodgy.
Remember the last election there was a big scandal about the Corps endorsing Vice President Clark?
It was in the newspaper.
What if they wanted someone in office who was sympathetic to the Corps?
On a hunch, I just checked on the ship taking the prisoner back to Earth. The ID codes don't match any ship registered to Earth Force.
So he's gone and all the evidence with him?
Yep.
Have you notified President Clark?
Well, wouldn't be her responsibility to notify President Clark. Being a lieutenant commander, she's giving this information to him as the captain. It would be surely be his responsibility to notify the president. Surely they'd, especially in the future, we do now, but in the future, everything's digital. All the certainly all the evidence I can think of would be digital copies of everything, so they would surely have backups of most of the information. Good episodes, lots more development of the story, an awful lot more. So yeah, we saw Delenn now in her new form. A bit more of the president's assassination progressing forward. Garibaldi's now awake. So it looks like the Psi Corps are basically behind the death of the president, and putting in a new president who is sympathetic to their needs will help them to grow and have more control. So we see a bit more about John Sheridan and his history. So he had a wife who died on an explorer ship. He's been carrying around an awful lot of guilt and grief. Maybe that message has helped, but he still needs counselling. But it looks like it did give him a bit of closure, so that's good for him. That'll help him. But like I said, it's nice to see the differences between him and Sheridan. I think I can see them in their style of command, which is completely realistic, because they're completely different people, different histories. Sheridan has been in command of a big cruiser ship, so he's going to have a very different perspective on the way things work. So yeah, it was really interesting to see that, because I think I can see that in their acting style and in the way the story is progressing. Yeah, so really good. Looking forward to the next one. Let me know what you thought about this one in the comments below, and I shall see you for the next episode. As Bester and I can't remember his name would do. Be seeing you.